Hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar from me in a rather chilly but quite sunny Hastings today. It's just gone 1 o'clock, so we'll just wait a few moments to give everybody a chance to join. While you're waiting, do feel free to drop into the Q&A box to say hi and let us know where you're joining us from today. Can see lots of people joining. That's great. Glad you could make it today. Hi Marion. Hiya Bridget. Hi Penny from Devon. Glasgow. Hi Paul. Hi Julia in Bristol. Adrian in South Wales. Borodar. We've got Sandy in Scotland. Hiya. Okay, I can see. Yeah, lots more people have joined now, so I think we'll make a start. So hello everybody, and welcome to our webinar, An Introduction to AI for Older People. I'm Annie Mannion, and I'm Digital Marketing Manager at AbilityNet, and I'll be running you through today's session. So just to go through a few bits of housekeeping, we have live captions provided by Tara at MyClearText, and you can turn on the captions using the CC option on the control panel. And additional captions are available via streamtext.net/player *event equals AbilityNet, which is a bit of a tongue twister, but we'll put the link in the Q&A as well. You can download the slides as well if you wish and follow along, and you can get them from our website at abilitynet.org.uk/AI older. And if you have any technical issues or you need to leave early, don't worry, you'll receive an email within the next week sharing the recording, the transcript and the slides as well. And then just finally, depending on how you joined the webinar, you'll find a Q&A window. So if you want to ask us any questions, do drop those in the Q&A area. And do please also complete the feedback survey that you'll receive at the end if you're able to. So for those of you who are joining us who aren't yet familiar with AbilityNet, we're now more than 25 years old, and we're a charity that supports older people and disabled people living with any disability or impairment to use technology to achieve their goals at work, at home and in education. And we do this by providing specialist advice, support, accessibility testing and training, and also free information like our fact sheets and this webinar. So today, discussing AI for older people, we have joining us Steve Mersereau, who is our AbilityNet BT Digital Skills trainer for London and the surrounding areas. And Steve's been providing digital confidence training to clients for the past year or so, and we hope by the end of today you'll have learned key areas for how to use AI to your advantage with your daily tasks. So just before Steve shares his advice, I'm just going to start with a quick poll about everybody to find out a bit more about you all joining us today. So I'll just launch the poll. So can you tell us, how confident do you feel using AI technology? Do you feel very confident, okay with some devices, apps and tools, not confident, not at all confident, or not applicable? And just a reminder, depending on how you joined the webinar, you may not be able to see the polls, so you can respond in the Q&A panel. So I can see loads of you have participated. We'll just give it a few more moments to give everyone a chance to respond. Okay, I think I'm going to end the poll now. And sharing the results, we can see that in response, the most responses are 42% of you are okay with some devices, apps and tools. Then the next one down is not confident, that's 32%. 16% of you are not at all confident. We've got 8% at confident and then 2% not applicable. So at the moment, nobody's clicked very confident. So hopefully, we'll be able to share some really good advice with you today. So Just closing the poll now. And yeah, please over to Steve for some great advice about using AI more on a daily basis.
So thank you very much. Welcome to AI, an introduction for older people with me, Steve Mersereau. Let me just very briefly introduce myself. I know Annie has just introduced me, but my name is Steve Mersereau. My career trajectory really is that I was a web developer for a long time. I've been working in IT for 35 years, I think, more or less. But for the last year and a half, I've been working for AbilityNet, teaching older people in London about digital skills. We're going to talk about artificial intelligence today, and first of all, I'm going to try and define it, try and explain a little bit about what it is. On your screen in front of you, there is one definition. I have to be honest and say that there isn't a great deal of consensus about what artificial intelligence actually is, and what that definition in front of you misses is it doesn't explain what the difference between AI and regular or traditional programming is. So the first thing to say is that AI is artificial, certainly. The second thing to say is it isn't intelligence in any meaningful sense of the word. An AI model doesn't understand what it's describing. So if you show an AI model a picture of a cat and ask it to describe what it is, if you're lucky, it's going to come out with the word cat, but it doesn't have any sense of what a cat actually is. It doesn't have a sense of a cat's furriness or a cat's warmth. It doesn't have a sense of the fact that a cat is likely to have four legs, not always, but usually. And it doesn't have any sort of context about what a cat is. It simply matches the picture to the word cat. So that's what our AI is. It's pattern matching. So traditional computing that's been around since sort of well, it depends how you measure it, since the 1840s or the 1940s, depending on how you treat your computer history. But traditional computing is code following a sequence of rules, a series of steps. So it gets called an algorithm or a program. You can think of it in terms of a recipe. So a traditional computer model, perhaps running a payroll system, will follow a predictable series of steps. AI is slightly different in that it's built using those traditional computing steps. It's built using a recipe or an algorithm, but there's an additional step. So once a computer scientist, a programmer, has finished building the AI model, it's effectively a model of a brain. It's a model of a simple brain. You can think of it in those terms. There's an additional step of training. So the developer will train the model by presenting it with a very large number of images, if you're training an image recognition model, and describing what those images are. And after a period of training, the AI model is ready to be used by a user. So AI is older than we might imagine. It goes back as far really as computing does, 40s and 50s. The original AI conference was in 1956 in the States. There was a period of time when development paused and stopped. Or it didn't stop, but it was the development was very, very slow. It's called the AI winter. In the 1980s, there was a period where there was a rebirth of flowering of what are called expert systems. And then in the 2000s and 2010s, there's a massive revolution with the increase of computer power. There was a massive change in how computer systems, how powerful computer systems are. And that led to today where we see AI starting to infiltrate all areas of our life. Okay, so that's like a lightning quick 5-minute tour through AI and where AI has come from. I want to show you now a little bit about what AI can do, or what AI is doing, what we can use AI to do right now, right today. So I'm going to open up my web browser. I'm using Opera, but you can use any web browser that's available on your phone or your computer. The one I'm using Opera, as I say, but it's very, very similar in operation to how Firefox, Chrome, Safari, the other web browsers work. Okay, so you'll be familiar with Google. I can go to the Google website by typing google.com here, and I can do a search. You'll be familiar with that. I'm going to show you Bing, which is very, very similar. It's Microsoft's equivalent to Google. So it's available simply by going to your web browser and typing bing.com. And I can do a web search, and I'm certain, familiar with doing this. I can do a search for buy a bike near me, Islington. Okay. And I'm going to get a series of results. So I'm using Bing, but you're going to get something very, very similar if you use Google Chrome. You get a series of ads at the top here. You get a map showing you some locations that you might want to buy. You might be able to buy a bike near Islington. And then down, as we go a little bit lower, you see a series of links to websites. So Bath Bikes at the top, buy a bike, going down and so on. So really what you're doing is you're using a traditional search engine. You're you're using Bing, or you're using Google if you were to use Google. And what we're doing is we're seeing a list of websites. So the search engine, Bing, is acting very much like an index. It's an index of the web. You can think of a search engine as an index of the internet. So if I was interested in buying a bike, I'd scroll down here, and I would perhaps look at this website, look at the My Cycle website, perhaps, and I'd read through the website. And by doing this with a variety of different websites, I decide what bike I wanted to buy, or decide where to buy my bike. So Bing, Bing is run by Microsoft, um, and this is, as I say, a traditional search engine. Microsoft, sorry, has just recently brought out its its AI tool. It's like a search engine on steroids. It's called CoPilot. So I can use CoPilot by going to this icon here, just at the top hand side, just beside the search bar, and clicking on that. It'll take me to this website, copilot.cloud.microsoft. So you can go straight to this website. You simply type copilot.cloud.microsoft in your search bar, in the bar of your web browser. It looks similar. It's got a few tiles here with some suggestions, and it's got a search box down there to the bottom. So in that search box, I can type buy a bike near me, Islington. So the same search term as I searched for in Bing. I'm pressing return, and it takes a little bit of time, but what it's doing is it's searching the internet, it's finding some results, it's reading those. It's not reading in any real sense of the word, but it's processing those search results, and it's rewriting them as a single response. So rather than get a list of websites, we're getting the websites rewritten to give us an answer to the query, looking to tell us where we can buy a bike in Islington. Okay, so using this is a way of answering a question that might have a single answer. So where do I buy a bike online? How do I fix my hot point washing machine, for instance? Anything that requires a single answer, you can use Copilot to do a search and get an answer like that. You can ask it a question. You can talk to it or you can interact with it as if it were a person. So you can say, where can I get a spare part for my Brompton bike in London? And I hit return, and it's doing the same as it did last time. It's giving me one answer to that question. It's not giving me a list of websites. It's giving me one answer to the question I've asked it. Okay, so that's Microsoft Copilot. I'm going to come back to Microsoft Copilot in a few moments. I want to show you very quickly A second AI tool is a comparatively new one called Poe. You'll reach it by typing poe.com into your web browser. So poe.com into your web browser. Slightly more complicated in terms of how it works, and I'm not going to show you the full range of features, but Poe is an aggregator of AI tools. So you'll see right here, there's a search box or a chat box for you to type your query into. Here, you've got a choice of a load of different AI tools. Now, I'm going to use the regular one, or the most common one, which is Assistant. Some of these tools will charge you, or will attempt to charge you money. So if you try to use um, this one here, the DALL-E one, which is an image generation tool, it's going to ask you for some money. This one is not. So let's type on Assistant there. It says up here it's a general purpose assistant. So similar to the CoPilot, it's got a couple of suggested queries we might write here. I'm going to ignore those, and I'm going to say, write a speech for Steve's 60th birthday party. He likes AI and loves Formula One racing. Okay. Once again, it takes a few moments and it's written a speech. So it's not generating this completely out of thin air. What it's doing is it's using the training data, it's using the information that it's been trained on alongside the prompt I've given it, write a speech for Steve's 60th birthday, and it's rewriting some of the information it finds to give me quite a credible speech. Unlike using a regular search engine, you can interact with this query. So what I can do is I've got the speech in front of me. It looks great. But I could say, Steve, can please, I tend to use please when I'm interacting with these things. Please, can you rewrite, but cut by 150 words. And also, Steve isn't a beacon of passion. Right, so let's see what it comes back with. It's come back with something very, very similar. It's still using the word passion, but it's taken out the phrase a beacon of passion. And interestingly, it doesn't really seem to have cut the word count by a particularly large degree. I'm going to say, please cut by 50%. It's cut it. I would suggest not quite by 50%, but it has cut it. Okay, so we can use Poe. That's Poe to write a speech. Let's use Google's Gemini, a third tool. Here it is. You'll get to it by typing gemini.google.com. You don't need that app bit. If I type gemini.google.com without the app at the end, it'll just bring it up anyway. What I'm going to ask Gemini to do, Gemini is Google's AI tool. These are all free, incidentally. All these tools, apart from with the exception of the one I mentioned with Poe, all these tools are free to use. Some of them may require you to register. So CoPilot, which we looked at a moment ago, does require us to register. And Gemini, I think I'm right in saying Gemini will require you to register as well. Poe will not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Gemini to summarize a news article for me. It's another thing you can do with these tools. I'm going to use the BBC's website. So just bbc.co.uk/news. I'm going to choose the first news story. And I'm going to copy this text, all the text of the article, right down. It's quite a lengthy article. All the way down to the bottom. There we go. I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to move to Gemini. So into the search box, I'm going to type, please summarize this article in 100 words. I haven't given it the article yet. It's going to come back and ask me to enter the text of the article. I'm going to paste the text of the article there, and then I'm going to press the submit button. Okay. Interestingly, it's telling me it's not able to summarize a political story. So let's see if I can find a story that's not political. I'm going to try and look for a non-contentious story. Okay, let's try this one. So again, copy the article. I'm going to ask, please summarize this in 100 words or fewer. I get the prompt. I'm going to paste the article again. Let's see if it'll do this one. There it is. Okay. And it's summarized the article quite beautifully. I haven't counted those words, but that looks like about 100 words to me. Please suggest a headline of this article. Okay. There we go. So it's given us several options. Let's compare that with the original. Woman with brain injury faced insurance refusal. There's a couple that are similar, but it hasn't come back with the original one. So it's come back with 6 different suggestions for a headline similar to the real one, but slightly different to it. Okay, so that's Google's Gemini. All of these tools can perform all of the tasks we've looked at. So the summarizing the article, the creating a suggestion for a speech, all of these tools can do the same thing. I've just used these as examples to give us an idea of the way the different tools work, but they all work in broadly similar way. They'll all do the same sort of thing. Very quickly, as we reach towards the end of the session, I want to just go back to CoPilot. So CoPilot, which we looked at earlier, I'm going to click this button at the top here, new chat, and that will just clear its memory of the discussion I've just had with it. I'm going to ask it to create a picture. The Google's Gemini tool will not create imagery for you. Copilot will. Now, most of the image generating tools will require registration, and many of them will require a payment. Copilot does not. I'm going to ask it to please draw me a picture of a house in London covered with ivy in a 1940s style. Let's see what it's going to come back with. This sometimes can take a little bit of time because it's doing something that's quite complicated. And depending on what we ask it for, it may come back with something impressive. It may come back with something that's really not that impressive. But whatever it comes back with is going to be new image. It's going to be something that's never been created before. So it's brand new. And there we have it. It took what, about 15 seconds? That's, no, I would argue that's not a 1940s style of image. It's a 1940s, it's not even a 1940s house. So I think it's got it slightly wrong. I'm not entirely sure that's ivy either, but it's come back with something, and it looks pretty impressive, I think. I think you'll agree. Okay, again, in the same way we did with the other tools, we can now ask it to refine this image. I'm not going to do that because we're running towards the end of the session, but you can interact. You can ask it perhaps to make the picture black and white. You could perhaps say, can you add some red in there? You can interact with that with the tool to get it to produce a different sort of style of image. Okay. So let's go back to the slides. That's the demo. I want to talk a little bit about problems with AI, and the main one is this. It's called hallucination, and effectively, what it means is that the AI tools can't be trusted to be 100% accurate. They're trained on data. They're trained on training data. They're not programmed with a recipe in the same way that traditional computer software is. And what this can mean is that if the training data was inaccurate, the output will be inaccurate. So an example of this is when I was preparing for this session, I asked CoPilot to produce me some images to illustrate AI, and it came up with that, which is lovely, and it came up with that, also lovely. I then asked it to reformat these images to be landscape format so they'd fit in the area of the screen, and it came back with that, which is clearly not in any way what I'm looking for. It's completely different. And in actual fact, what it's done is it's remembered a previous conversation I was having about London pictures in the 1940s. I'm a bit obsessed with the 1940s, you can see. So you have to be careful not to rely on information that the tools are giving you. By all means, use it to find where you might buy a bike, but certainly don't use it to do anything that's mission critical or anything that is going to be a problem if the information is wrong. And you can always use regular Google or regular Bing, one of the other search engines, to check the information if it's something that's important. If you're writing an essay or you're writing something that needs to be factually accurate. Finally, then let's finish up quickly by talking a little bit about the issues around AI, some of the issues that are current in the press and in the media. The first thing is the issue of transparency. So because there's no recipe when you use these AI tools, we don't know where the information is coming from. We don't know how the information is being provided to us. And that can be an issue if it's being used for important mission critical things, anything in medical, anything military, anything judiciary. The transparency issue is a big issue. The same with bias. Because it's relying on training data, if the training data that the model is using is biased, the output is likely to be biased. And again, a massive issue if you're looking at anything judicial, anything medical. Copyright and ownership is an issue. These tools are trained on massive bodies of data, usually the entire internet or large portions of the internet. That information is being sucked into the training tools without any accreditation or payments to the people that have originally created that image. So I think that's a massive issue, and one that's current now. The New York Times is in the process of suing Google, I think one of the big AI companies, over the use of its data. Risks, well, unemployment is one that's often mentioned. It can do simple tasks of writing, and people in the creative industries already starting to see their jobs affected, and some people already starting to find their jobs are going. So that's clearly an issue. There's a famous discussion about what would happen if an AI model was tasked with creating the perfect paperclip, and the story or the thought experiment goes along the lines of the AI model may choose to divert resources from things that humans genuinely need, such as food and transport, to creating the perfect paperclip, and that might cause problems for humanity. I think that problem, personally, I think that problem is probably or that issue is probably vastly overblown. I don't think we need to worry about the robots taking over the world just yet, but that's something that's often mentioned. And then to finish on a more positive note, the rewards efficiency clearly. I'm not sure that the statement "nobody will ever need to work again" is necessarily true, but certainly there'll be economic impacts, economic benefits, improved decision making, economic growth, advances in healthcare, and all of those things really are things that we're already starting to see coming through and likely to accelerate into the future. I want to thank you very much for taking the time to join me today. Let's go and talk. Let's go and take some questions now, if we may.
Thank you so much, Steve. There's some great starter ideas there to take away and try out. And yeah, apologies for people that couldn't see the screen at the time. But just a reminder, at abilitynet.org.uk/AI older, and the link that you'll receive after the webinar, you'll be able to access the recording. So you'll be able to see those examples after the broadcast. So I just wanted to share with you some of the resources that we have available as part of AbilityNet's partnership with BT Group. So this is part of our partnership to help older people and disabled adults master the digital world. So we offer free in-person digital skills sessions in London, Birmingham, Glasgow, Edinburgh, and the east coast of Scotland, Newcastle, Cardiff, and surrounding areas. And you can find out more at abilitynet.org.uk/BT Digital Skills. And the training that's available are topics including AI, but also staying safer online, using social media, banking and shopping online, and lots more. So please do get in touch. And also just to flag that if you don't live in those areas outlined, you can give us a call on 0300 180 0028, and one of the AbilityNet team can help connect you with a local tech volunteer. And so I've got a little bit more about that later on too. And then also coming up in our next webinar, we'll be joined by celebrity TV presenter and actress Linda Robson, who will be coming along to discuss her experiences of online scams. And also joining us to provide advice will be Adam Carter from National Trading Standards. So the webinar's at 1 o'clock on the 4th of December. So do spread the word to get valuable advice out there to anybody who might need it. And you can sign up at abilitynet.org.uk/seasonal scams webinar. So I'm sure you've got a lot of questions. I can see a few in the Q&A panel. So do fire away and we'll answer as many as we can. So I'll just go to the Q&A now. So there's a question from Anna. Can AI questions and posing into particular AI tool windows, can it be done in other languages where you write? Well, if you write in your own language and then it translates, will it translate live? I think is the question, or the other way around.
Can it translate live? Google Translate, which is available on the regular Google website, will translate text as near to live as possible. There are tools that will translate spoken language live. I don't believe there are any of those that are available free of charge at the moment, but Google's regular search will do translating written text as near to live as makes no difference.
Okay. There was a question from Anne asking about the paper clips bit of information that you shared on a previous slide.
I was running very short of time and I didn't discuss that in any great detail. It was a thought experiment by a philosopher called Nick Bostrom, and he's a University of Oxford professor, and his concern, this is from 2014, so it's quite some time ago. His concern was that if you charged an AI system with creating a more efficient paperclip, it wouldn't have the necessary sort of common sense to stop producing output even when it had reached its the most efficient paperclip, and will continue to consume resources until such a point as the world would be taken over by this AI in its search to create a more efficient paperclip. I've not explained that well at all, and I suggest if you're interested, if you search for Nick Bostrom paperclip, you'll get a much better example, but much better sort of explanation than the one that I've just given. But I think it's not something I think we need to be worried about. It's a thought experiment about how AI might
Okay.
take over the world. That's
Okay.
the background, the context.
This is a question from Bridget. You may have covered it right at the start, but it was how do you actually bring up ChatGPT?
So you just go to any web browser, as if you were searching the web, and then you'd go to chatgpt.com. You just type into the search bar chatgpt.com, and it's right there. It's right there for you. It will, as you saw, it'll prompt you to register and it'll prompt you to log in, but you can use it without registering and without logging in at the moment. I mean, that may change as we go forward, and they decide they need to make more money than they're currently making. But at the moment, you can use it without registering. So any web browser, chatsgpt.com into the address bar, and then you're good to go.
And maybe there's a question from Christine. Are there any free AI tools available? I think the bulk of them have some sort of free version available. But
They all of the ones we've looked at today, so Gemini, Poe, ChatGPT, and CoPilot are all free, or they all have a free version. Some of them, ChatGPT and others, will have a paid for tier, so they'll try and prompt you to take the paid for version every so often. They'll nag you, but no, they all have free versions. They're all available to use for free.
and there's an interesting comment from Ian, who says, I recommend using CoPilot for IT help and support because the response that is provided is a clear set of instructions in a logical order. And that kind of relates to some of the other questions that have come through about, do you have particular recommendations of the few that have been highlighted, or are there some that are better to for particular tasks than others?
That's a very good question, and I don't. I mean, I think what I tend to do is if I'm using them, I'll use one or two different ones at random. ChatGPT is the oldest, or the most well known. I mean, the oldest in terms of publicly available ones. It's the most well known. Um, Copilot is newer. I quite like Copilot. Copilot will cite its sources, so it will tell you where it's getting the information from. I think ChatGPT just started doing that. So I quite like Copilot for that reason. But no, I would if you're doing something like looking for IT support or looking for how do I fix my washing machine, whatever, anything that requires a series of instructions, I would try one or two at random and see which one you like better. But no, I don't know that I can answer definitively which is better for which particular task. Copilot is the only one that will do an image for you at the moment, or the only one of the ones we've looked at today that do an image for you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I'm sorry I have to wrap up now, but thank you so much to everybody for your questions, and to Steve and Tara with my clear text, and my colleague Mark helping out in the background. I just wanted to share a little bit more information that might be of interest. As mentioned, AbilityNet offers free IT support at home and online, and a range of tech-related fact sheets and webinars. So you can have a look on our website at abilitynet.org.uk, or call our helpline on 0300 180 0028. You can have a look at /dash at home. And we have volunteers across the country who are available to help you with your tech queries. Also, if you'd like to become an AbilityNet tech volunteer yourself, you can find out more at /volunteer. We also run online training sessions about digital accessibility and inclusion, and you can find more information at /training. And then finally, you can also sign up to our newsletter for the latest advice about inclusion and accessibility, and our next free webinars, which you can access at /webinars. And as mentioned, there was a question about this in the chat. So what time is the Linda Robson webinar? That's at 1 p.m. Until 1:45 p.m. on the 4th of December. So yes, please do spread the word to get the valuable advice out there to people who need it. So thank you again to everyone who's joined us, and please do complete the feedback form. And I hope you'll be able to join us for the next session. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye-bye.